I lie. I love you till I die. Lie till I lie. Ooh, love never dies.
Hey. You know those last minute conversations you're still having just before the camera comes on. Yeah. So, I'm gonna have a cup of tea.
I just had mine.
You just had a cup of tea.
It's not too far.
It's Christmas. No.
Sure.
Hey. Who do you want to be close to, me or them? Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. This is Life of Interruptions, and I'm sending you peace, love, happiness, joy, especially at this time of the year, to whatever part of the world, whatever time zone, whatever frame of mind, whatever state of health that you are in. And it's so important for us to add state of health with COVID and all that's going on. It's really been
challenging.
Yeah.
Boat rocking.
Yeah.
Don't rock the boat, baby. You remember the song?
I wasn't born.
Okay. Don't rock the boat.
I don't know the song. What's that?
Forgotten in Bed was a popular song in the 80s, 70s, 80s.
So we're at the end of the year, and permit me, I'm going to have my tea and I'm going to eat these. A friend of ours bought these things. They're called Uzis. Bought them for the children, guys. I think I've had more.
More than the children.
So embarrassing. Not to talk about the fact that we got to be pageant ready in February, but I've just said that I'm on holiday.
Okay.
Yeah. So we were talking, what should we talk about? And remember that we've entered into the year with this whole discussion about being ready for 2020, saying it was going to be the best year of our lives and speaking it forth and preparing for it. COVID happened. And in the midst of COVID, for some people, the words that they spoke about positivity still rang true. They still got the year that they spoke forward. For some people, there was loss, there was death, there was sickness, there was devastation, and we need to be cognizant of that, I think, and sympathetic and empathetic towards that reality. So we're sitting at the end of the year and we're saying we're going into 2021, what's going to be different, how do we approach it, how do we wrap up this year into the new year? So it is like, this is the second stick that fell down during this recording, guys. Surely goodness and mercy. I just decided, and I think we've always been about that, like we don't over edit out the reality of our lives on this channel. Let's go ahead. We just need to explain to the people that sometimes they're going to hear things falling and children screaming. So what's going to be different? We're going into 2021. Yeah. And when we looked at our lives, we realized that, the first prophecy we received when we got married was go show the world it's possible. Yeah. We're sitting in 2020 and I've been plunged into a beauty pageant for the sole purpose of demonstrating possibility to humankind, basically, especially to women and wives who would at this point think, being a mom, being a wife, I lost a bit of myself, and I'm just here to demonstrate that that's not necessarily true. And the time that you thought was a loss was just a season, and seasons change. And the sowing, whether of your life or of a seed, or of your life as a seed in the one season, is guaranteed to bring you a harvest in the next season. So 2020 might have been that year where we laid down our lives as a seed, and we're looking forward to the harvest. But the angle that we looked at it from was just, a lot of people look at the concept of our large family and 10 children, and counting. We always say we don't want to shut. People always, are you still going to have more? Whatever God will. So we don't speak in absolute terms. Because the last time we did that was at the 5th child, and we ended up with 5 more. So we're not
counting.
We're not putting any counting. We're not putting any full stops on it. And the reason why this is, for us, it's the place we can talk from. We're careful not to make it a prescriptive thing. It's so easy to speak at you and say statements like, don't shut out how many children God might want for you to have out of fear. And that's a valid statement. But I'd like to broaden the statement and say, don't shut out whatever possibilities they might be at all. It might be another degree, it might be another house, it might be another business, it might be another child. Do not act as though you own your life in totality and therefore you can make absolute prescriptions as to what it's going to be. Because we had, as we said, wanted to stop at 5. And today we look back and we're like, whoa, what a privilege, what grace it is to have overridden our plan with the ultimate plan that heaven had for us. And we often say, imagine if Israel had stopped, if Jacob had stopped at 3 children. We wouldn't have Judah and we wouldn't have our faith because we are of the tribe of Judah. So we're grateful that he didn't stop there. Though, truth be told, we've kind of superseded that because we've had the children that he had from 2 wives and 2 concubines joined together, just the 2 of us. But that's our assignment to demonstrate to the world what is yours. And it's so important to think of what yours is as we enter 2021, because we're ending of 2020, getting into 2021 on the talks of more restrictions, another lockdown, raising of the levels from 1 back to 3. And that just speaks restriction. And when you're restricted, it's a restriction of the mind.
Yeah. And I really think that's a great angle to look at it, because like you were talking earlier, that when you have all of these restrictions about going, not interprovincial travels, gatherings, canceling, and a lot of people withdraw. And with that withdrawal comes the withdrawal of the human spirit. Because you see, we were made to mingle. We were made to fellowship. We were made to not to live in islands. We were made to even they say there are positive viruses that come from just mingling with people. So with all of, make sure that you do not allow your mind to shut down because of the shutdown. Do not allow your spirit to be locked down because of the lockdown. Do not allow restrictions to be placed on how far you can achieve or believe what is possible in the year coming, because you are saying, oh, there's a lockdown, you throw in the towel about 2021. The human spirit is being so graced by God that you can rise above the lockdown, the restrictions. Don't let it hit you. See, the story of Joseph really, really is impressive. He was in prison, but prison was not in him.
That was a good one.
Yes.
Fine.
Yeah. If you can be in the lockdown, but don't let the lockdown come into you. Don't let it lock you down. So you need to keep making the plans for 2021 and dream big for 2021. Pray hard in 2021. Find your strength, what your strong point.
Because it can't be locked down.
It can't be locked down. So you don't let the lockdown get to you. Don't let it get to you. Don't let it bring you anxiety. Don't let the lockdown bring you suicidal thoughts. I'm going to lose this. No. We've overcome greater barriers. Humanity has overcome greater challenges and came out shining. And they say stars shine brighter in the dark. So the harder challenges that are thrown at us,
the brighter we should shine.
The brighter we should shine. It will bring out what is really on the inside of us. So take, for example, we are having so many children and people wondering if we're crazy. But that is, we've got grace for it, and we are riding the wave of that. And I think that has made you to stand out in the midst of South Africa. That is the first time you have a woman who is in the finals of a national beauty pageant that has an international angle of Mrs. World with so many children. That is demonstrating possibility, can do, ability, mindset that, and you didn't get there overnight. You put in a lot of hard work in terms of, I see you do exercises. I see you skip meals. I see you do intermittent
I
fasting.
shame today. I'm enough.
You know, I see you put a lot of hard work, and yet you still have to homeschool the children in the midst of that. You know, there's a lot that you juggle, even though you have all of these children. It does not put in. It's not weighed you down. You know, so you find that part of you where you've been graced, what you can do, and go all out for it, because God has not made you to be beaten over by the virus. You can overcome it. If there is life, then there is hope. And as long as you are still breathing on planet Earth, give it your best shot. 2021, I mean, even in 2020, there were millionaires made.
Can we just have this conversation? No one is saying that you should.
Somebody met someone and got married in 2020. They met their spouse in 2020 and got married in 2020.
We're not saying that you should ride on someone's crime. We're not saying you should ride on someone else's loss. But the truth of the matter is that in this time of the pandemic, there have been people, like you said, who have risen, and they have taken advantage of the opportunities presented by virtue of this pandemic to rise, you know, because the gaps have created opportunities, and those who had eyes were able to see those opportunities. If there's anything I want to encourage you about, is that the human mind needs exposure in order to broaden scope. So part of what the enemy will try and target is your ability to see so that you can believe. Every time God would want to come with a promise, he would ask the prophet who was to bring the message, behold. He would say, what do you see? Right? And so we tend to see, the more we go out, the more we travel, the more we see things from other people's perspectives. You know, we watch shows, and then you see, oh, people do things like that, or that's possible. It comes from exposure. So when these lockdowns occur, exposure is impacted.
Yes.
Exposure
dampened.
is dampened, it's limited, it's restricted. And then the eyes don't see that far. You see, as far as your eyes can see,
You can possess.
you can possess. So now you're restricted to nothing but your four walls. No gatherings, no interactions, no talking with big dreamers.
Because when you just like boxers, when they're going for a big fight, they spar with other boxers.
Exactly.
Just to strengthen themselves and to test themselves. So when you have an idea and you are hanging out at work, hanging out somewhere in the restaurant, and you talk back with someone, you are able to build that. That really happens between both of us. All you have to do is share something with me, and by the time I bring it back to you, it's multiplied. All I have to do is share something with you, and by the time I hear it back from you, it's been broadened. So when you are able to interact with other people, you are able to broaden on an idea, just gets bigger and bigger. But when you have these lockdowns and these restrictions about gatherings, the people that you're supposed to meet become limited. The places you're supposed to go become limited. Traveling alone broadens your mind. And right now, travel has certain countries will say flight from the UK is banned. Flight from South Africa is banned. And so all of that impacts on you seeing more of the world and coming out with fresh ideas, going to places where you want to draw new inspiration. So you need to find a way to, first and foremost, place value in the interactions that you have with people. Understand that you were not made to be an island.
And so now that you've been pushed into island status, you need to get creative about how you continue to interact. So don't, look down on what technology offers in terms of being able to Skype and to Zoom and to browse on the internet and see ideas. And they call me Mrs. Google, so I hear anything. And if I don't know, I'm straight on the internet trying to research. And I'm not saying that it's the ultimate source of information, but I'm just saying it's a starting point. And then I will interrogate with a discerning mind. Like I'll read some things, I'll be like, oh, this is just fake news. And keep researching from various angles and read, till you come to something that your spirit tells you this is truth.
Yeah.
But you need to find alternative ways to continue to build community.
Yeah.
And if this is the reality we're in right now, then do not allow yourself to be pushed into isolation, because even a lion can be eaten
When
by a
isolated.
pack of jackals
When
when
isolated.
isolated.
Yeah.
So do not allow for the isolation, and do not stop the dreaming. Let your mind continue to see big.
Yeah.
The God who has promised is not hindered by COVID.
Yeah.
He's not hindered by a lockdown.
Yeah.
He's not hindered by geographical boundaries.
Yeah.
You find a lot of people, yes, they will travel, and then that exposure, you see it when you come around them. You see that they brought artifacts from around the world. You see that their decor is different. You see that their taste palette is different, that they can tolerate more exotic foods, and their appreciation of the arts is broadened, etc., etc., etc. But the world is a global village now, and we really can, and I just hear in my spirit right now, beyond traveling and beyond seeking information, that we cannot be limited to where we can travel to in the spirit.
And our minds.
You cannot be limited to, there's no limit in the spirit. You cannot be limited to where the Spirit of God can take you and show you things that have not even entered into the minds of men. You know, we want to go to America to see the latest technology. We want to go to China to see the latest technology. We want to go to Dubai and see the high-rise buildings. And he's saying, come into me, and I'll take you to places and show you things. And even those places, witty inventions, prudence, they dwell with him. Those places have not even entered into them yet. So they might think they've restricted you, but if you come with me, we will go far and go deep.
I really like that.
Mm-hmm.
One of the places that I think we can draw inspiration during the lockdown is taking a closer look at creation. You might not have been one who's been observant of creation. I'm a lover of creation.
You're a lover.
I love, I love to see trees and look at trees. I love to take note of birds and the different colors that they come in. You know, I love to see the sunset, and I love to see the acts of the sky changing from the colors of sunrise and midday and sunset. I just love creation. And when you begin to, maybe you're taking a walk in the neighborhood, just look at creation. Look at how the birds go about, you know, their business. Look at how the trees pan out. Creation is an education on its own. And there's a lot you can learn just observing creation. So you need to find a way to draw inspiration, and you are going to draw a lot of inspiration from creation. Do you know that there is a bird that when it wants to fly, it moves backward? It doesn't fly forward, it moves backward. Do you know the Americans looked at that and created a fighter plane that takes off backward?
Oh, okay.
Hallelujah.
Bless you.
Yeah. So there are lots of
You're in church now.
Yeah.
Hallelujah.
There are lots of things you can draw inspiration from just observing creation, observing birds, observing trees, observing. If you live in a place where you have a landscape, go ahead and look at it. Look at the flowers as they, bird, and you can draw a lot from just looking at creation. And when you look, sometimes many of us don't want to look at National Geographics. Look at it and then appreciate life. There is so much better. I really think that an angle we can draw inspiration from in this season of lockdown is just observing creation. There is so much to learn. The Bible says that creation declares, the heavens declare the glory of God. Creation speaks messages that if you have ears, you can hear. You've got eyes, you can see. There is so much. When you observe creation, you are going to learn to love, to protect creation, and see how best not to abuse creation, but to see how you can make creation better.
And inventions come from there. And,
oh yes.
And I think ethical inventions will come from there. But we were watching. What's the name of the guy? Rich Dad Poor Dad. I keep forgetting his name.
Yeah.
Kawasaki.
Yeah.
I don't know how to pronounce it. NTU. So we were watching him in an interview, and something profound that he said, which I've heard from a number of of the elite, if you'd call them that, is that the attitude is really the determinant of the altitude. And he said that the poor think about money, the rich think about things, and the wealthy think about ideas.
Miles Moreau.
Was it Miles Monroe who said that?
It was Miles Moreau.
Okay, so then coming back to Kawahuhu, that dude. Let's just call him Rich Dad Poor Dad.
Also.
Coming back, I don't believe I can't pronounce his name. Like, we've read his books. The children have read the kids' version. But anyhow, so he said that how did he phrase it now?
He said the poor always say, I can't afford it.
Can't afford it, can't do it.
The rich say, how can I
afford it? And I think that brings us back to the discussion. For us, it has been about our children, where people say, how can you afford that? Primarily because the assignment was not ours. The one who gave the children had the responsibility to afford what needed to be afforded. But in terms of us taking responsibility, I think it was about looking at these children as an investment and not an expense.
Yeah.
And when you're investing in something, economics will tell you that S is equal to I. So what you save is what you invest. And so we needed to change lifestyle. When you have a goal, when you're driven by a specific goal that you want to accomplish, most entrepreneurs will tell you this. Vusita Maguire had to live in his car in the basement for some time of his office. People have these stories. Now, if they could make those sacrifices in faith for this entrepreneurial escapade that they believe in, it's okay, I think, that we should be able to make the same sacrifices in terms of the children that we want to have. So maybe I've had to turn down certain opportunities, avail myself more physically, in the home, as opposed to being out there and hustling and what I normally would have done in my previous life. But with every supposed sacrifice, which for me was a joyful sacrifice to make, and it was a season of sacrifice. We're in a different season now. But in that season, when I was making those sacrifices, I was conscious that I was investing into something extremely important to me. So maybe it wasn't going to be a brand new car this time, because certain monies needed to go to something else that would speak into the future of our children. It was a conscious decision. You know, the lifestyle for me was, and we praise the elite. We say, if you look at Mark Zuckerberg, he's in the same t-shirt. Him and the other dude, is it Takealot? The other Chinese guy, I forget his name. I can't remember, but he's on the online platform. It's not Takealot.
Alibaba.
No, Alibaba, that dude. The same, it's like they buy their gray t-shirts from the same place. The same gray t-shirt. Meanwhile, the ones that have just kind of smelt a bit of wealth from afar are all up in the Gucci's, the Versace's, they need to they need to show up. There's a song that the children listen to that they Gucci, 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 Nike, 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 Dior, Dior, something along those lines. So they get the baby and again. Have you heard the baby saying it?
No.
Say Gucci, 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 the Gucci, Gucci, Dior, Dior, Nike. But so they're striving for a specific lifestyle and have chosen to live in the now to afford that lifestyle. And others have said, no, I'm going to go to school. I'm going to make a sacrifice. All the Gucci, 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 Nike, 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 Dior, Dior that I could have been wearing is going to go to its fees. Yeah. It's going to go towards building a house as opposed to buying.
I did that a lot for my music. When I saw my friends wearing expensive clothes, every time I got money, I was in the studio just improving my art and sacrificing, and that made me better in songwriting. That made me better in just understanding how to put.
But my question is, what is it with the human mind that it is celebrated for someone to make those sacrifices to further their art, to further their education, to start a business, to build a house, but it's a thing to be sometimes made fun of when you make those sacrifices to give another child an opportunity to come into the world?
I think a lot of people have locked down their minds about how many children are feasible in the modern world. In the modern world, it's like, and funny thing is not that we're talking about that.
Their parents had lots of children.
Their parents have
now
lots
I'm like,
of children.
Okay, if they're like number 5 and their parents stopped at number 2, they won't be here today. So they think, oh no, even though they come from a big family of 7, 8, it's no more fair, it's no more nice, it's no more kosher, it's no more
in vogue. Are you living your life by the vogue, or you're living your life by the design?
Oh.
You know what I mean?
Oh, come on, baby.
So
that's deep. You know why? Because Vogue speaks of fashion trends and
yes,
design.
yes.
But what you're saying is there's what's fashionable and trending, and then there's what's classy,
yes,
classic, and lasting and enduring.
yes.
And so you need to choose
Which way you want to live your life by. So if you want to live your life and say it's no more in vogue to have lots of children, you know, I just want to have two, that's what I can afford, or that's what, that blocking down your mind, because there are lots of people who maybe because of what the character that have been formed in them, they could really pass that down to a couple of more children that God could trust them with and say, you know what, I've done a lot through you, and I want to
multiply.
I want to multiply that. You are a mold that I like what I have done over the years, and I want to do that.
And that's not to say that you have individuals who genuinely cannot have more children, individuals whose calling it is to have none, or have one, or have two or three. Versus us whose calling it is to have as many as God will have us have. So I don't want to keep harping on a lot of children like the ultimate statement of faith. It's ours. It's our assignment. For somebody else, it might be school. It might be business. It might be being a Mother Teresa and embracing children on the streets and looking after them through NGO work and philanthropy. But the whole mindset is that whatever it is you've been called to do, you will limit yourself if you come in with a cannot attitude.
Yeah.
And 2020 has really tried to ingrain a cannot attitude in so many.
To lock down the
And the
human mind.
summary of our message is, as you enter 2021, if your body is in lockdown, you need to fight tooth and nail to make sure your mind, spirit, and soul
It's not in a lockdown.
are not in the lockdown. You need to interrogate. It's the same oxygen that people are breathing who have made billions and millions. And I'm not talking about people trying to sell us vaccinations by fire, by force, right? I'm talking about people just with general ideas who saw a gap, jumped in on that gap, and made good for it.
Yeah.
Because when the world says there is a casting down, we are the company that says there is a lifting up.
Yeah.
That is our portion. And so don't get tempted to join into the pity party and the, you know, to be trending with negativity. Because everybody's saying how bad it was. Now you want to, you're alive.
Yeah.
You're kicking.
Yeah.
You still have tomorrow. And there's more hope for a living dog than there is for a dead lion.
Yeah.
And many lions died this year. Their money couldn't even help them.
Yeah.
Their relationships couldn't help them. You're still here. If you're still here, there's a purpose for you. And so as we wrap up 2020 and come into 2021, I want to believe, you know, Daniel was in waiting for 21 years, 21 days to see the fulfillment of that which he had been praying for. You might have been praying for something and you might feel like you didn't get it in 2020. But in the 21st year, there is going to be that double portion of the angelic assistance released to you to do what seems impossible. And God tends to want to show off in the impossible, make you shine in the darkness.
Yeah.
So that it really, people have to stop and stare and be like, what? You know, because he says, me and the children that have been given to me are for signs and wonders. Again, your children might be industry, education, physical children, whatever it might be, but they've been given to you for signs and for wonders. And you need to be determined. There's no sign. Nothing is wonderful if everything around it is already wonderful. You see the wonder. You stand in awe, specifically when it arises out of ashes, specifically when it just could not, there's no way on God's green earth. You didn't know the right people. You didn't have the right pedigree. You didn't have the capital. You didn't have the know-how. There was no possibility for you to have been able to do that in your human strength. And guess what? It got done anyway. Then it's wonderful.
Yeah. Find your inspiration for 2021. Don't allow the lockdown to lock down your mind. Don't allow the lockdown to lock down your spirit. Don't allow the lockdown to lock down your feet. Take a walk, look at God's creation and say, wow, what a beautiful world. I mean, the guy who sang that song was blind.
Oh,
Ray
wow.
Charles. I mean.
Was it Ray Charles?
Yeah, what a beautiful world it is.
Was that Ray Charles?
Yeah. A blind man sang a song about a beautiful world.
Was that Ray Charles?
Yeah. You want to Google? Mrs. Google.
I do. I'm looking with my. I was about to, but my Google thingy majiki is all the way over there, and I don't want to get.
So
it.
find your inspiration for 2021. Don't when life throws you a curveball, kick it back and bend it like Beckham. Don't allow your mouth to dig your grave.
Ooh.
Don't allow your thoughts to drag you down. Don't be locked down. Arise and shine, for your light has come. So you just have to believe that 2021, that you have a God who is able to raise you up, who is able to, get you flying. Believe it in your heart, say it with your mouth, and go working towards it. And I believe that we will see you at the top in 2021, because 2021 has got great promises that we see
from the great promiser.
From the great promiser, and we will live through it. Nothing has taken him by surprise. So what has happened in 2020 did not take him by surprise. So 2021 also, he's got greater plans for us. Draw that inspiration. When you admire creation, remember you are admiring the one who created it. I don't only love God, I admire him.
And we had said,
go ahead.
And we had said, someone is cranky, they're refusing to sleep. We had said at the beginning of 2020 that we don't make resolutions, we make decisions. And so when you've decided on something, regardless of what comes your way, I don't know your character, but most people, when they make a decision, once it's decided, life can throw what it wants to throw. It's going to happen.
Yeah.
The 2020 that I decided upon was met and then more. And that was purely by grace, right? It was purely by grace. And so we go into 2021 with that understanding that we advance by grace.
Yeah.
We live, we get up, we fall down, we stand up again by grace. And grace doesn't stop being available unless you frustrate it. So for as long as grace is available, hold the hem of his garment and tell him, I won't leave you till you bless me. I won't leave you till these issues dry up. I'm bleeding here and I'm bleeding there. I've lost this, I've lost that. But that doesn't change what you said. The only thing is that the enemy is trying to get me to change my mind about what you said. He's trying to make the can't, the impossible, bigger than the possibility. And I refuse to look at that. Even if all I see is a cloud the size of a fist, I will keep pressing in, I'll keep pressing on, and trust that you who've promised are able to fulfill what you said, regardless of the noise around. And we've shared this before, that when Elisha wanted to enter his 2021, when he wanted to receive a double portion from Elijah, the prerequisite was, if you can see me when I go. If you can see me, you can have it. And that's a big, like, am I blind? Don't remember if I can see you. He knew the conditions under which he will be departing. So when it happens now, it's the earthquakes, it's the tornado, it's shakings and fire and
wind.
And under normal circumstances, you cannot see the target through all of that mess. But this person had made a decision. Even when the other guys were talking to me, it was just like, get behind me, no distraction. I'm not allowing human distractions. I'm not allowing policymaker distractions. I'm not allowing weather distractions, pandemic distractions. I'm not allowing distractions. My eye is on that mantle. You can create whatever wind and turmoil you want to. My eye is on that mantle. And he saw the mantle through the debris, through the dust, through the earthquake. He saw it, he caught it, he received it, and he had a double portion. You can decide in 2021 that yes, there's been all this chaos and I'm having plans already for January and I'm being told I can't execute those plans. But nonetheless, I'm not listening to the naysayers. I'm not looking at all of that. I'm keeping my eye on the mantle because there is a double portion that has got to come for me in 2021.
Above all, commit your plans onto the hands of the one who is able to make things happen.
Yeah.
Commit your plans, commit your life unto him. And by the grace of God, we will see you in 2021, not begging, not limping, but rising and at the top. We believe that 2021 will be a great year because we are on the side of the God who is able to call light out of darkness, who makes a way in the Red Sea, who is able to raise the dead, who is able to calm the storm. So whatever storm you've been through in 2020, it's going to make you stronger and so that you can be better and be able to face the future and be able to say, thank God for the grace that has seen me through. Hallelujah. Yeah. You know, let's
see our shirts. So I'm representing South Africa and you're representing the continent.
Africa.
And Africa has stood very strong during this pandemic.
Yeah.
And we're grateful to the Lord for that.
Hallelujah.
So what are we shaking on?
To love.
He's gonna say he let me win.
Oh yeah. Love. Love wins.
Yeah.
Love wins. And because love wins, the love of God will win on your behalf.
Yeah.
And God will open doors that no one can shut. He will usher you into a new season, not just a new year, but you'll come into the season that within the year and the high points and the glory and the grace that God has. You might have waited for 20 years, for 30 years, but there's still one who sits upon the throne and is going to cause your light to break forth. Love you.
God bless you. Cause His light to shine upon you. Dude, I thought we had graduated. Not graduated, graduated from the 90s. We're all the way deep into 2000. 21 years have passed.
Hello.
You know what? Never mind. Next year, 21 years, I'm going to give him the key of graduation. Graduation. Thank you so much for sticking out with us, and we'll see you next year by God's grace, standing tall, standing strong. And you need to know that you're still here because there's a purpose for you. So when anything, no matter what it looks like, no matter what is said, even if it's a doctor's report, even if it is a landlord's report, if it's the banker's report, if it's your boss's report, just remember that one door closes for another one to open, and you have every right to say, I'm not going anywhere till, this is not the fat lady singing, till the Lord says it's over. And it's not over for you. You've got a lot to accomplish and to do because your generation needs you. And we love you. See you soon. God
Amen. How cute.
Lie till I lie. I love you till